Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's DIY time again. We're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Ribbon in honor of May is Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. We're going to use a Dollar Tree ribbon form. We're also going to use this little tag. They sell them at Christmas time at the Dollar Tree, but this one happens to be from the Dollar General. I also am going to use a variety of purple flowers from the Dollar Tree. I'll tell you what I end up using in the end. And we're only going to use 2 of these purple ribbons. But of course you can do this technique for any awareness that you're trying to do, any disease awareness or condition awareness that you guys are trying to represent. We have done 2 awareness ribbons so far. We've done for breast cancer as well as for thyroid cancer. So just to keep in mind, there's different techniques, and this is just going to be another one. I've never really seen anybody do this like this before, so I will share with you a couple of different ways that I tried it the way that I thought it would work, and then I realized that it would work better a different way. So we're going to do both, and I'll show you both. So all I'm doing is I ripped the front off this tag. It actually came off when I was trying to rip the bow off. So now I'm just trying to fill in a little bit of that where the paper didn't pull off. I just want to cover that up. So it's just more of an even undertone when we go to mix our colors later. I've decided to not make this the exact same shade purple as the ribbon, so I want it to stand out a little bit different. But I will show you that when we get to that in the beginning. So you just want to paint this first, set it off to the side. Of course, you could use whatever you want. You can also skip this step entirely. For those of you who are not aware, I have a friend here on YouTube, actually one of the inspirations for me starting my channel, Mary Frey, who suffers from or lives with cystic fibrosis, and she has just become a really special friend, and I really wanted to do this in honor of her. And she really is an inspiration. So I'm going to link her channel in the description box down below. So the technique that I thought I would do is a no wire, no glue. I had this vision in my head of making this ruffle underneath the flowers. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking no sizes. I'm looking at the space that I'm trying to fill in, which is that little space at the very, very bottom. I'm imagining maybe 4 or 5 times the length of that space, and then I'm scrunching it up. I tried to find the center of the ribbon, of the mesh, excuse me, and tried to keep my hand roughly in the center, but it's not an exact science, I promise. It's a little extra, as a matter of fact. But what I just did was afterwards, I just took it and I kind of adjusted. If I had it a little too far over to the left or the right, I would just adjust it. But all we're really going to do is stick it underneath the wire. Now, again, I'm only doing this to demonstrate to you that this is what we're doing, but we're going to change it in the end, and we'll get to that in a second. So for those of you who don't know, just a little bit of background while I'm doing this, that cystic fibrosis is a disease that affects many parts of the body, but primarily the lungs. It's known as being a lung disease, but the things that I've learned from Mary are that it can affect all different systems in your body. Everything from how your body holds on to salt to you could have hypo or hypoglycemia, like you could have diabetes, like it just all these things. It just affects every aspect of your body, or it could. Everybody is different. So while there are so many wonderful medications out there, Mary is on an amazing medication that has just really changed, turned her life around for now. And well, it's turned her life around. It's a blessing, but there's still 10% of the population, or I believe that's the number, 10% of the population that still doesn't have medication because they're particular mutations of the genes that they have. So we're still in the fight. Mary and Peter have a store. Basically, they have some really inspirational, beautiful merchandise that they sell, and 10% of the proceeds from the sales of their merchandise goes towards cystic fibrosis research, which is wonderful. So I will also link that channel in the description box down below. That's really good if you can support any way you can. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and basically skip all of this because we're going to undo it, and I'll show you in a second. And for the lengths, we just repeated that same sort of situation around all of the different sections. Tried to make each section longer, about 5 times longer than it actually was. Now, I was just thinking about some design that I wanted to share really quick. I think I'll do this piece. If I take this piece out. So I was actually thinking like I could have done the wreath form upside down. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. If I would have put it over the center and let me just clear it. Let me just clear the bars. So over the center and under the 2 sidebars, and then worked on the wreath upside down, it would have been much more stable and given me like a little channel to keep the flowers. So after everything, that's what I'm going to do. It's not going to take me very long, but it's going to take me a minute. So you guys hang on, okay? Okay, so just to recap what is going on if you're jumping around and you just caught on. Basically my idea in my head was originally to take a scrunched up section and put it underneath the wire, underneath the center wire and over the 2 outside wires. But what I realized that if I worked upside down and turned the work upside down, it would be so much better. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking the sections of ribbon that I had already previously measured and previously scrunched, and I'm scrunching them again. And now what I'm doing is on the right side of the ribbon, which the center bar is higher on the correct side of the ribbon, I'm putting the mesh, the center of the mesh, over that middle wire and under the 2 sides. And then when we're all done, we're going to flip it over, and we've created this amazing channel to hold the flowers. So my intention was always to make a mesh wreath with flowers. Again, I imagine this sort of ruffly, lacy sort of edge with these beautiful flowers. And that's sort of what I ended up getting. Originally, when you create a design, you don't always have the opportunity to test it out ahead of time. So this is one of those create on the fly situations. If you guys are ever in this situation where you're just like, you know what, this doesn't really kind of work for me, but let's see, maybe this will, then I want you to feel inspired that you can go ahead and do it. Basically, the quote unquote professionals don't have all the answers all the time. Every once in a while, we just have to design on the fly. Okay? So it is much easier this way as well. I realized that the way I was doing it before, I knew that gluing the flowers down was going to glue the wire to the mesh eventually, parts of the mesh to the wreath. But in the interim, until I actually got the flowers down, parts of the wreath the mesh were just coming out. There just wasn't enough tension between the sections. So that's why I was inspired to turn it right side out. And you could see how kind of busy it was before, and it's going to be such a cleaner looking ribbon at the end. Now, this deep color purple is really the cystic fibrosis purple, but it also represents other illnesses and conditions and diseases. So if you Google just a chart, it will tell you the breakdowns of all the colors for whatever condition you have. There's actually one that's even a zebra stripe for, I want to say, like the mystery illness. So somebody who's got like an undiagnosed condition where the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with them. They actually even have a ribbon for that as well. Okay. So like I said, this has become much, much easier. I will show you a couple of different things. We're going to add a bow, which you can skip if you think it's too busy. We're going to add flowers that mean something to me or make me feel, remind me about Mary, but they're flowers. You could pick whatever you want, honestly. And I have a ton, and I ended up only using 3 bunches. So that's okay too. Actually 4, but 3 and 2.5 bunches. But you know, like you really just don't know when you're designing on the fly. You know, you have a vision, you have an idea. But then what's really cool about this is I ended up making this one for me for Mary. And then I have enough materials to make her one if I feel like, if I can send it to her, that'd be great. So maybe I'll do another one and make it just a little bit different and a little bit more personal. So this part, like I mentioned, is super easy. I always want my DIYs to be for any level of talent of capabilities or of craftiness, however you want to put it. I wanted to put it for all different levels. And I think that this one is spot on. If you can scrunch up a tissue, then you can make a ribbon wreath or so on and so forth. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to put the flowers on. What I have here is 2 bouquets of dark purple roses, 1 bouquet of dark purple dahlias. They only had 1 bouquet of the dark purple dahlias. They were the exact same color as the roses, which happens to be the exact same color as this mesh. So it really does blend in beautifully. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of mixing them up. Couple of roses and then a dahlia, a couple of roses and then a dahlia. What I'm doing is I'm making sure I have plenty of glue, and I'm trying to open up the mesh so I can see the wire part of the wreath form, and then I'm gluing it down. This will sure, it will enhance it, sure. Sorry. This will ensure that the rose sticks to the wreath form as well as the mesh, and the mesh will stick to the wreath, and they'll become one cohesive happy family. Okay. So we're going to continue like this, like I mentioned, but we did find other flowers. They were these beautiful irises. I thought the irises were a little too magenta-ish for this particular purple. And then we have found a bunch of pastel lavender colored ones, which I was going to mix in. And as you can see, there's like a lavender colored rose over there. I just really, really liked the deep purple. I wanted the bow and the sentiment on the bow to stand out a little bit, and I wanted my sign to just stand out a little bit too. But then I ended up kind of going with something else anyway, so you'll see. I was really going for this monochromatic look, and then I was like, nah, you know what? I have this, and I'll tell you a little story behind it. Peter and Mary have a beautiful new home that they've had for a little over a year now, and they love plants, and they love their garden wall and their vegetable gardens, and they just take care and love nature. And I think they were pansies. I feel like I remember that they were pansies, but maybe they were petunias. Who knows? But they had a beautiful, I guess, bunch of flowers on their flower wall, and they sort of looked sad, and when he watered them, then they perked up a little bit the next day, and they were purple, and that's what made me think about this would be like just a really great, I don't know, a great thing to share their story and to spread awareness. So, and they give you an idea for a ribbon wreath if that's where you want. And to be honest with you, you can use this technique on a regular wreath form if you wanted. You would just have 2 bars to go under for that middle of the wreath sort of thing. So, and then put extra flowers on it if you want. So now we're going to put these pansies, because I, for some reason, was remembering they were pansies, but now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they weren't, but it's okay. Pansies just remind me of Mary. They're a very happy flower. She does these beautiful watercolors, these really beautiful paintings of birds and jars and cactus, and she's just a really, really talented, naturally talented artist. And for some reason I saw these pansies and I just thought of her. This particular pansies, group of pansies, had 3 different shades of flowers on them. The one shade we didn't use is very, very pink. So we just used the lavender and then the dark purple and white ones. And I love them. I love the combination. I love that there is some little bit of flower that's popping out, this little bit of white and this little bit of, oh, geez, I just forgot the word. Contrasting shade of purple coming out. I just feel like it adds a little something to it. But you could have stopped with just the purple, the same color purple if you wanted to. That's what I love about these projects, is that I teach you techniques and I give you ideas, but I can encourage you constantly. Make it your own. Do what makes you happy. If you think I should have stopped before putting the pansies on, then when you make it, stop before you put pansies on. I mean, it's just that simple. Do what makes your heart happy. Do what makes your eyes happy. I've heard so many different creators here on YouTube use all kinds of phrases for just that, to share with you how to just keep going until you're happy with your work. Okay? Now, I had some lavender and some larkspur, and I was kind of like, do I add more? I have these beautiful like lavender ranunculus, and I ended up just saying, you know what, this is good. This is just a little bit of speck. I was afraid if I put too much contrast and then added the ribbon, it would just be too much. As it is, the bow might be a little bit too much for me, but I wanted to share with you basically the message. So I'm taking this Dollar Tree wire edged burlap ribbon, and this purple ribbon with the white lace down the middle is from the 99-cent only store from Easter time. I just thought it would be a contrast and add just a pop of purple onto the burlap ribbon. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a simple bow. I'm going to make 3 loops on each side. I'm doubling it up. I'm sorry, 2 loops on each side, but it's with 2 ribbons, so it's going to end up being 4 loops on each side, if that makes any sense. So you're just going to fold it onto itself twice, and then we're going to make sure you overlap that middle so that you have something to cut through and it doesn't come apart. And then we're going to find the middle and we're just going to cut. And now this is a lot of layers and wire, so you might have to take it a little bit at a time. I try to mark it with the scissor, and then I try to just cut through a couple of layers at a time. And you just want to make a tiny notch. You don't want to go all the way to the center. But this is just to help hold the fluff once you fluff it. That's really what it's about. It's just to help you hold the fluff when you fluff it. Now, instead of using a pipe cleaner or a wire or anything, I'm just going to use 2 additional pieces of ribbon, and I'm going to use them as they're going to turn into tails when I'm all done, as well as tie around the middle of this bow. Now, we have lots of different bow techniques, and we have different DIYs right here on our channel. Just click on the DIY playlist and you can learn all different kinds of techniques for bow making, painting, mixed colors, lettering, you name it, and we've done it. I'm pretty sure. We haven't done card making. Did we do card making? We might have. I can't remember. It's been a while. So we're just going to tie this around the middle, tie it in the back, and then just fluff it. That's the hardest part. People always have the hardest time with their ribbon. They're always like, well, it doesn't fluff well, or I can't get that look. It's okay. If you ever actually examined a bow from a store, they're not perfect. Not the kind that's made by a machine that you take tab off the back, and those are perfect. But I mean, like, if you ever go to a florist, you won't get a perfect bow. It's just going to have its natural loops and hangs, and things are going to go in their own directions. I think the key is to just really utilize those little tabs that you cut. That'll kind of keep the sections apart and go in different directions with your ribbon. That's all. That's my piece of advice. Okay. Now, I did leave a purple tail and a burlap tail, but we're going to end up losing the purple tail, and you'll see why in a little bit. But I'm ended up using that purple tail to hang the wreath with, so I didn't need any additional hanger, but I'll share with you why. Mary and Peter have, like I mentioned, their store, and one of the t-shirts is a cystic fibrosis t-shirt, and it's got a pair of lungs on it, and it says "Her fight, my fight," or you can get it in his fight, my fight. And that was sort of the inspiration for this wreath to hang on my house. So on the burlap ribbon, because it doesn't have the lace, I'm going to basically write a message. I'm going to take just this is the black glass brush paint pen from the Dollar Tree. It's got a lot of titles. And I'm just going to handwrite I know people love my handwriting, but it's just handwritten. Her fight, and on the other tail, I'm going to put my fight. So hopefully she realizes that she's supported and during her battle and during her struggles and even days when it's great. She's an inspiration, and like I said, she really means a lot to me and to Jim, as a matter of fact. Um, I want you to keep in mind that if you're going to write something like this, you have to realize that there is a G and a Y. But one of the things that I like to do for that is I like to make them go long ways. Instead of raising all of the letters, I'll just make the loops go down a little bit, kind of like that farmhouse calligraphy that they have now, handwriting, I think it's called. But just do what feels right to you. Do what makes you, like I said, do what makes your heart happy, right? Okay. And now we're going to take the tag, and that's what we're going to work on next. The tag turned out to be something way different. I will tell you the truth. I kind of had a feeling that I wanted to put a purple edge around it. The white paint is still a little wet, so I was thinking if I mixed a nice purple paint, then it would become like a lavender paint. That didn't happen. That original white paint was old paint from the Dollar Tree. And I meant old paint because I don't think they make that particular paint anymore. And it just really wasn't good acrylic paint, to be honest. It had its benefits, but it really wasn't good acrylic paint. So I'm just taking a little navy blue and a little crimson red. And I thought I had good proportions, but then as I started to white it down, it just ends up being very dark. But again, I wanted it to be a different shade than the ribbon because I want it to stand out. And what I'm doing is I envisioned sort of a tie-dyed, marbly galaxy maybe sort of situation. And I want it to be darker around the edges. So this is just me trying to basically make that happen. What I'm doing is I've started with what I'm assuming, I was assuming was a dark purple. And I've gone just around the edges about a half of an inch. I'm just taking the brush, and this is actually an old watercolor Crayola brush from when my nephews were little. But I like the stiffness of the bristles. So I just took that and I went about a quarter inch to a half an inch off the edge. And then I took a little bit with the white that was left over from painting the undercoat, and I just added that and sort of started to bring it in towards the center a little bit. And I wanted to lighten it up a little each time I did that. I wanted to bring it in a little bit and make it a little bit lighter. And you'll see the effect at the end that I actually kind of got what I was trying to achieve, but it's not the exact same shade I was thinking about. But now we're just going to go ahead and add a little bit more red because this is where I started to realize that it's not so purple. And then I'm realizing that this apple barrel paint and Waverly paint are not blending properly. Like, what the heck is going on? Why are they on top of each other? I'm just saying the struggle's real. It happens. I think that's why I like to leave these things in for you guys so you can see that it happens to everyone. You set out to do one thing. Don't get discouraged. Just keep working on it. It's paint. If you don't like it, you can paint over it, or you can just change it as you go. And that's kind of what I'm trying to show you here. I took a little bit of white chalk paint on a brush, and now I'm just going to try to go over and try to lighten that and spread it in more towards the inside. And this is where I'm really starting to get the look that I was after. Like a few minutes ago, I was like, this looks terrible. I'm never going to get it, but I know this will work. I just know. Like, you go, Jerry, this is going to work. So just let it go. And that's what I did. I really do, like I said, I really do like the way it came out. I was imagining sort of like a marble thing, but I was imagining like a burst, like a sunburst. Now, I wanted to tell you that I am actually just handwriting a card that I'm going to put on this tag. But I'm probably going to end up making a more permanent sign with my Cricut. But for now, I wanted to be able to show you guys what you could do. I tried a bunch of different ones that I didn't share with you, but this one I'm just wanted to line up on the edge, try to make like to CFA just to be like Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month and basically line up left line. And then I wanted to put inspirational messages around. So I put this is a really cool brush, by the way. I got it from, marker I got from the Dollar Tree. It's got like a sort of a thicker brush on one side and a real thin one on the other. So I used the thicker brush and then I turned it over and I used the thin brush to make like this small writing. So I put like fight for hope. I put fight for hope, and then I put fight for a cure. And then I put my favorite, which was fight for breath. If you watched Mary's channel, or anybody who's got cystic fibrosis, you might have seen them struggle at times. They get winded really easy just to try to catch their breath after a coughing fit, after doing their PT, or it's just such such an amazing thing to see somebody go through all of that she's going through and still have all of the brightness and the faith and the encouragement that she does on a daily basis. It's just amazing. So anyway, I'm going to cut the corners of this paper off just to match the tag. And just a trick I'm trying to show you here, but it's so tiny, is I took the scrap that I cut off of the corner and I matched it onto the opposite corner so that I can get the exact same angle and dimension, so that they would match basically. Because if you ever tried to cut a tag, you cut the right, it's not straight. You cut the left, it's not even. You cut the right, it's not. It just can go on and on and on and on. So what I've done is I've laid it on there where I've matched the top, and now I'm just figuring out how much I need to cut off the bottom to basically make an even size around the whole frame, basically. Okay? And then I realized I have more room to write more things, so I will write more things. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are definitely ribbons for every cause. If there is anything that you can think of that you would like me to come up with ideas, please let me know in the comment section down below. I will try my very best. If I don't have the supplies to actually demonstrate it, then I could at least give you tips in the comment section. I will answer whatever we can, okay? And then it says fight for life, and then I just wrote just fight. Not just fight. I didn't write just fight. I just wrote fight. And now I have this like purple glittery pen that I bought at the Dollar Tree. They basically came in all the colors. And I'm just going to outline all of the phrases just to add some more purple to this. Since the marbling didn't come out as purple as I wanted it to be, I just wanted to add a little bit of purple. So I'm outlining all the different phrases. It's a little glittery purple too, so I thought it would just be fun. Make it kind of fun. Very, very high schoolish, and I don't know. Sometimes I just revert. And then also I took the same purple pen and I went over my cystic fibrosis words just so that they would be purple and stand out. But I left awareness and month just in black. Okay? I'm going to take some hot glue, glue it on this sign, glue the sign onto the tag, and then we're going to take the tag and glue it to the back of the bow. Now, again, whether or not you want to hang a sign, whether or not you want to use a bow, that design part is up to you. Look, I've mentioned we have lots of different inspirations on our channels to get just different looks. You could glue pipe cleaners on the back of this and you can tie it around the ribbon. The possibilities are endless, really. So what I'm just doing is I'm taking it and I'm turning the bow over, just placing it, and I'm just going to glue that to the back of the bow in a couple of spots. Now at this point in my design head, I didn't think I was getting rid of the purple ribbon yet, but it just didn't sit right with me. It took away from the message that I was trying to put for on the ribbon for Mary. So I accidentally put this down while the glue was still wet, trying to figure out where's the best place for it. I did have an idea that maybe like in the middle of the ribbon, like right where it intersects, like there, and I left it too long and the hot glue was coming out and it got stuck. It's really hard. Like when I've done these before, I don't really know that they need a bow. They really don't, and I may lose the bow. That's why I don't like to glue them on because I never know when I'm going to change my mind. But I'm sitting here, I'm just trying to figure out what to do and fidgeting and playing with it. And when I went to go move it, it was stuck. Yep, there it is. It's stuck. So let's unglue it and we'll move it up to the top. I wanted the message ribbons to really be prominent, sort of. So I wanted them to stick out. And that's really what I was going for. So I went ahead and I just took those two purple ribbons that I wasn't using, stuck them in the hole of the ribbon, and then just turned it over and tied a knot in the back that basically became the hanger. I took the two ribbons and I tied them together, and that basically became the hanger. And now I took the two messages and I kind of wanted to glue them down so that they would always be able to be read, if that makes any sense. I wanted them to be like permanently open. And this will also help hold the bow on. But here's where I just tie the loops in the back. And then what's great about doing it this way is if you want your awareness ribbon to be at an angle, you can do that. If you want it to be straight, you can do that. By not gluing it down, you basically have the option to hang it any way you want to. And then, of course, we have to fluff. Until you have this on your door when you're ready to put it away, you're going to have to keep fluffing that bow. But that's just the name of the game. That's just what life is like in the craft world and the design world. You just have to do all the zhuzhing, all of the zhuzhing that's meant to be. So now I'm going to start with the ribbon that says My Fight, and I want to make sure it lays down nicely. And then I'm actually ended up gluing a piece of it to between the mesh and a pansy. And just be careful because when you glue this, not only does the glue want to come through the burlap, but it definitely wants to come through the mesh. So I like this glue gun that I have. It is a Gorilla Glue gun and it has a low temp, high temp setting. Now here's what it looks like with just the purple on purple flowers. I think it looks pretty, but I definitely love the way it turned out. I hope Mary gets to see this and she does love it. If you guys have any questions at all, like I mentioned, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in learning how to make a support ribbon and learning a little bit about cystic fibrosis. And don't forget to visit Mary and Peter over at their channel. Tell them I sent you and I said hi. And don't forget to visit their shop as well and maybe support them and cystic fibrosis as well. And as always, you guys take care. God bless. Be grateful for your health. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.